Hello everybody and welcome to this very special edition of the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show, coming to you live and direct.
Like AJ Tracy?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. Coming to you live and direct with like AJ Tracy. Leave your comments down below. I have no idea who that is. It must be one of Cam's friends. Anyway, we're previewing the 2019 World Road Race Championships today with this boy, Cameron Jeffers. All right, so it's one of the hotly contested world. Is it though? Is it going to be? Shall we just end it here by saying Mathieu van der Poel's going to win? See you later, and just let him go and watch it, or what? Do you think this is going to be as hotly contested as I want it to be, or do you just think Mathieu van der Poel's going to win it and take it all?
I think it's going to be an interesting one because I think it massively depends on how tactical the teams play it. You know, with the breakaway. Depending on what breakaway goes with the road, because if it's quite controlled in the bunch all day and it's just not kind of casually brought back for a bunch sprint, I certainly think that there's no climbs big enough, depending on how it's ridden. There's no climbs big enough to shell all the big sprinters. So maybe someone like Christoph can get over the climbs, but if it's like the generic worlds, then I think that the course, in terms of the total elevation, there's quite a lot, but there's no, like I said, there's no real big climbs. So I think it's probably going to suit someone, an Ardennes classic rider, for example, maybe someone like Julian Alaphilippe. I don't want to say Mathieu van der Poel, but he's probably going to win it.
Yeah, right. And talking of the course, let's head over now to the VT. Check out the course in more detail with your boy, Chris Pritchard.
Ace.
How do and welcome to Harrogate. As I can see behind me, we're on finish line, just down near Betty's Tea Rooms. Bloody wonderful. If that's never been to Harrogate, make sure that comes. Whether Worlds are on or not, get this in up here. It's bloody brilliant. This is where all posh folk of Yorkshire live. Not like Sheffield, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, right, 14-kilometre loop around Harrogate. Both men and women are going to be doing it over weekend after the big long old trail that they take in Yorkshire. By the time they get here, they'll have covered a lot of miles. They'll be bloody tired, ready for a cup of tea. However, men have still got 7 laps to do. Women, they've got 3 laps to do around here. Bloody arduous at best of times. Let me take thee on a route now and pinpoint some of these places where I think the race could break up and potentially be wrecked. And I know for all you safety conscious southerners, I'll change me out, don't worry. Boosh. There it goes. How do? Alright. Now if you look at a map of this course from afar, it doesn't actually look that technical. It pretty much looks like a square. But once you start getting closer, you realise just how technical this course is. One of the Belgian riders actually said, after seeing it and reconning it, that it was far too dangerous to be racing a road race world championship round here. The only thing I can say to that is, get used to it, sunshine. We're in Yorkshire, God's own county, that knows. Anyway, to look at it, it pretty much looks like a square, but once you get into it and you start really delving into the intricacies of this course, you'll realise just how technical it is. And I'm riding out now to one of the most technical parts on this course. Join me there in a second as we transition out. Ish. Alright, so we're about a third of the way, almost halfway into this course now, and this for me is one of the most technical and the most dangerous parts of this course. If the weather isn't kind to the riders, I hate to say it, but I feel we're going to see a few crashes here. I don't want to see them, but I've got a feeling we will. We've come off a descent and it's still descending into this really tight left-right chicane, really narrow for the riders, and if they're not paying attention or they're trying to gamble too much, got a feeling we're going to see a few of them come a cropper here. The race can't be won in this position, but it certainly can be lost. Let's crack on and get to the next part of this course. Hush. Okay, so this again is another very technical, very dangerous part of this course. Again, same as last time, coming off a slight descent into a really tight right-hander, over a bridge and then into a really tight, narrow left-hander. With over 200 riders coming down into this, it's going to get hairy because everybody is going to want to be on the front, because just out of this bend here, it goes straight up a little kicker, just a little punch, but enough to string the group out, especially when you've got to do this 3 times for the women, 7 times for the men. It's going to start putting some tiredness in those legs, trying to come out of here, trying to accelerate. You come into almost a dead stop as we turn left, and then powering it out, similar to a crit circuit, but you're not just riding a crit for an hour, you're riding for 7 hours on this one. This part right here is going to rip the race apart. All right, and here we are on Millionaires Row, heading back up the hill, heading back into the town centre of Harrogate. Not necessarily the hardest of climbs here, but again, if a rider's looking to take a long one in those closing laps, they've got a bit of freshness in those legs, other people are fatiguing around them, right here is the place they could go. Transition. Okay, and as you can see, right up there, right on the horizon, that is the finish line. That's where we're going to be finishing the World Road Race Championship. That is where I'm going to get my rainbow jersey. But first we've got to go into the town centre, do a few rights, do a few lefts, get very technical again, and then we're going to pop out just over there. We're going to take a right, and then we hit that hill again. Not necessarily a hill, more of like a little tiny drag, but again, after all those laps, after all that racing, that is going to feel like Alpe d'Huez. Let's head over there now. Take a look. Alright, so I've come round this left-hander, and there we go, just in the distance you can see that right-hander. Right in front of us is the Zwift Draft House. We'll stop there for a brew after we've finished this race and won those rainbow jerseys. Let's go around that right-hander, there we go, and you can see that the road just kicks up, and all of a sudden it's on the horizon, and this is where you've got to really dig in, really get out of the saddle, really push yourself up this hill. There's going to be a few attacks going off here on the last lap, but are people going to make it to the line? Because once you get to the top here, you can see there's still a long way to go to that finish line. And now it's a matter of grinning and bearing it and giving your soul to it, knowing that if you make it to the finish line, you could be wearing that rainbow jersey. Oh my God, is it enough for those riders to commit? Who's going to wait till the last minute? Who's going to attack on that little kicker there? Are they going to still have enough energy to make it to the line? What the hell is going to happen? Who knows? But I know one thing, no rider is going to be getting off their bike while it still goes down the road. It's magic, isn't it? Back to you in studio.
All right, Cam, so before we get into riders who we think are going to be up there, and we'll talk about, I don't know, let's take 5 riders, for instance. We'll take a look at the top 5 riders likely to be up there towards the end of the finish. Let's talk about some notable riders that aren't there. First up, Vincenzo Nibali. Talk about him, man.
Yeah, seems initially off the cut, I think it seems like quite a strange decision to leave Nibali out of this year's World Championships, because this year he did pick up 8th in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which is probably the course profile most similar to the Yorkshire World. So he's kind of proven himself over a long classic. This year, this road race is going to be the second longest road race of the year. It's like 280 kilometers, maybe even a little bit more, 285k. So yeah, but I think the reason he's been left out of the squad is because we've got the likes. Italy's got the likes of Matteo Trentin, who has he's proven himself this year in the Tour of Britain that he can go up climbs behind Mathieu van der Poel, and he also can sprint with the best. He's more of an all-round type rider, which I think this course is going to suit with the short punchy climbs. There's nothing real long that kind of has been in the past. So yeah, if he can get himself over the climbs in a select group at the front, then I think Trentin is definitely a pick.
Other riders that aren't going to be there, Egan Bernal said he was, then he wasn't, then he was, then he wasn't, and it sounds like he's not going to be there. But I think the majority of people are in the same boat here. This isn't a course that's going to suit him. There's not enough climbing. He could potentially help out the Colombian team, but he's not really going to be there. In fact, I don't think any of the Colombians are going to be there towards the end of the finish. This doesn't really seem and feel like a South American kind of course to suit any of the South Americans. It's just... Would you agree that there's just not enough climbing? Gaviria, potentially maybe up there, but again, I don't know. I just can't see it personally. But please, Colombia, prove me wrong. One Colombian that I think might be up there in the under-23s is Higuita. He had a great La Vuelta. I think he might be up there for the under-23s. But another rider that's not going to be there is Kwiatkowski, and again, he's proven at the likes of Milan-San Remo that this potentially could suit somebody like that. And I guess same with him as with Nibali. They're just too fatigued. They've come into it. They've come into this year with different priorities, and they've got to the end of the year and they've said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done. Bit like yourself.
checked out.
Just checked out. So now let's talk about the riders who are there, and in particular, let's talk about squads. Who do we think is taking the biggest and best squad to Worlds this year?
I think, as a whole, it's hard to look past Belgium. You know, with
Go on, have another go.
with Remco Evenepoel, you know, Tim Wellens, Philip Gilbert, Greg Van Avermaet, Oliver Nason. They probably do have, in terms of for this specific course profile. Yeah, there's not going to any out and out climbers. Okay, I guess Remco can climb, but what can't Remco do? But I think as a whole, I'd say Belgium.
One rider left out of that Belgian squad who wasn't too happy was Jesper Stuyven. Do you think he should be in there? Do you think he's looking at the likes of Remco Evenepoel thinking, yes, you are bloody brilliant and talented, but I've been here a long time. I'm the old guard here. I should be included in this team because I am capable. He is capable. You always see him up there. He's always not necessarily always winning, but always aggressive, always up there in those small select groups that you see sprinting for the line, like the likes of the Brussels Classic when Caleb Ewan won. When there was like 28 of them all lined up across the side of the road. He was up there in that sprint. Yes, he didn't win, but he's always consistent. Do you think he is valid in his outcry of not going?
Yeah, definitely. But the issue is, like we just touched on, Belgium have got such a strong squad. There'll always be riders that have been left out, and there'll always be riders that won't be happy that they've been left out. And like you said, yeah, he's always consistently up there. But I think Belgium have taken a team to the Worlds that's most likely going to get a winner, not someone who's going to get 5th place.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good point. I guess you don't go to Worlds to get 5th place, do you? You go to Worlds to win that rainbow jersey, and that's it. And like you say, they feel that is the best squad. Any other squads that are tickling your fancy? Any other squads that you look at and go, oh dear?
The Dutch team, Mathieu van der Poel, Mike Turnison, Nicky Terpstra. He always proves himself this time of the year, so
he might be able to provide a supporting role, but that's all it's going to be.
Okay, then let's just
listen. Sorry to interrupt. When you're looking at the Dutch squad, it's all based around Mathieu van der Poel. They're not going in there with a plan A and a plan B. They're going right, all in for Van der Poel. You do what you need to do to get that rider right to the front. But do you think he's going? In fact, we'll save the Van der Poel talk. Let's just take a look at a few other teams that I think are going to be up there. Germany have got a solid team with Burkhardt and Pascal Ackermann. If he can make it to the finish, he can be up there. Same with Simon Geschke. And then you got the likes of the French team, more than capable of winning this World Championship. Now, before we take a look at our top 5 riders who we think are going to be up there and fighting for the win, at least in our opinion, let's touch on the British team. That got announced a couple of days ago. You've got the likes of Owain Doull in there, Stannard's in there, Theo Geoghegan-Hart, Geraint Thomas, Adam Yates, and the leader, Ben Swift. What do you think of that team? Solid?
I think it's a solid team. I'd have liked to have seen Lawless in there, personally. But yeah, I mean, they're coming with the best fighting chance. They want the best team to support Swifty in the finale, and I think they're going to do that. Theo and Doull are coming off the back of a Vuelta, so they're either going to be flying or FUCK'd.
Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult to realise what form, especially Doull's going to be in, because he hasn't. That's his first ever Grand Tour. Potentially, he could be coming in here with the strongest legs they've ever had and be an awesome supporting rider there. Because if you think back to the classics as well, he had some really good rides in some of the early spring classics. So if he can carry that form that he's taken from La Vuelta and go the distance and hopefully be in there to be a supporting rider. Same with Theo. Again, more of an out-and-out climber. But if he can be in there to really push on those short climbs to try and stretch that peloton and start ripping it apart, because ultimately GB are going to have to get it down to a small group. Like a couple of other countries, no one wants it to come down. There's probably like 2 countries that would like it to come down to a bunch sprint. The rest of them want that select group towards the end, don't they? So let's talk about our top 5 riders who we think are going to be up there potentially fighting for the win. First up, Ben Swift. Swift's best result at World Championships has been the 5th that he scored in Bergen. I think he's coming in with some of the best form of his life into this one. He seems motivated because not only has he got that national champions jersey on, it's a home World Championships. It's going to be, let's be honest, his only or best chance of ever winning a world title. So if it's not now, Sorry, Swifty, I don't think he's going to be ever. But has he got a better chance of it than right now?
No.
There we go. Next on the list of riders, Matteo Trentin. Talk about him, man.
Yeah, again, he's probably in the best form that he's been in for a long time. Picking up second overall at the Tour of Britain. He proved that for a bit of a bigger guy, he can climb well that final day, which is probably going to be a similar sort of climb to the duration of the World Championships. That short, punchy stuff. He proves he can get up them. So if he can maintain the form that is carried through the Tour of Britain, then I think it's quite hard to look past him as being one of the top 5.
Now, one rider no one seems to be mentioning, at least not here and in the comments, no one seems to mention it every time we bring up the World Championships. Peter Sagan, triple world champion, right? This guy knows how to win a World Championships. He came into, I think it was Bergen, he was ill, he felt crap all race, and he ended up winning the race. Like, we can't write him off, but because of the hype around Van der Poel, it seems that he's almost been forgotten. Do you think, well, what do you think? Do you think surely he's going to be up there, but is he going to have what it takes to go that extra mile to win the World Championships again this year?
I mean, I don't think he's in the form that he has been in previous years, but again, we saw that at Bergen, that he can switch it on for the day. But I also think it might benefit him with the focus being on Remco and Van der Poel and the other riders this year. The pressure's going to be off him a little bit, and he's going to be let off to do more his own thing. In the past we've seen that it's always been about Sagan. He's been, Sagan takes a swig of his bottle, and the whole bunch knows about it. So maybe this year he's going to be let off the leash a little bit because of the likes of Van der Poel, and maybe he can pull it out of the bag.
Can you ever let Sagan off the leash though? Like, you've seen it at, like, Roubaix when he attacked with 50k to go. You see an attack like that, and you think, it'll probably come back, but gone. And if they do that there, then that's going to be a game over. It's going to be risky to let him go. But you're right. They might give him an inch. But if he gets an inch, he's going to take 10 miles, isn't he? And that's going to be the World Championships over and done with. And like you say, the fact that everyone's focus is elsewhere, that he might go a little more undetected within the peloton and potentially get into moves that he otherwise would have been marked in because everybody's too busy looking the other way at those two riders. Talking of those two riders, Remco Evenepoel is another rider that we need to look out for. I don't know about this kid. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he's amazing. But does he have enough stamina to get to the end and still have something at the end? He's only, 14, 15?
I think it was his 16th birthday last weekend, actually. But yeah, I think again, Remco he's probably he's probably the rider of the season, I reckon, as an all-rounder. But like you said, is he going to have the stamina in his legs to do that 285k? I don't know.
That's it. I think it's going to. That's why I think the likes of Swifty stands a better chance of winning this. Why Sagan potentially might be up there, because they're almost going into uncharted territory now. They are phenomenal athletes. They are amazing, but an additional 50 kilometers on a race that you're not used to, you don't know really what it's going to do to your legs. So where those riders might be feeling fresh all the way up to 250k. All of a sudden, the riders that have been there before and done it time and time again, like the likes of Sagan and Swift, they might just come into their own. And you might find that Van der Poel and Remco just have to work just that much harder to keep with them, that when they get to the sprint, there's not much there. And I guess everyone's favourite at the minute, and it seems the whole world wants to nosh him off, Mathieu Van der Poel. I mean, with good reason. The guy wins Amstel, goes, you know what, I've had enough of this road racing, I'm going on mountain bike for a little bit, just want to chill out over at summer, goes on his spring break, wins everything that there is to win on his mountain bike, comes back, the first race back, wins the first stage of the Arctic Tour of Norway, Arctic Race in Norway, finishes second in the stage afterwards, then goes on and wins the Tour of Britain like it was nothing. With
3 stage wins in the process,
exactly,
two sprints and 1 hilltop finish.
I worry for everybody else with this kid. If he can make it to the end and he can be as strong at the end as he is throughout the rest of the races he's involved in, especially like you look at Amstel, and this is a similar profile to Amstel as well. So yeah, somebody who hadn't even mentioned, Alaphilippe.
Yeah.
Well, let's make it 6 riders.
Is that not our 5th?
No, Evenepoel was 5th. Swifty,
Yeah.
Sagan, Trentin,
Oh, yeah.
Evenepoel, Van der Poel.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll have checked. Again, maybe mentally he's checked out a little bit after the Tour de France, after his successes there. But yeah, I mean, again, Alaphilippe, he turns it on when he wants to, and if no doubt he's going to be motivated. It's a parcours that does suit him. So yeah, Alaphilippe.
So who's your prediction? Who do you think is going to win the World Championships?
Alaphilippe.
So the guy that we forgot to mention, the guy who you aren't sure whether he's going to turn it on or not for the Worlds, you think he's going to win it? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the first time she's been on the CPCN. This is Monica Dew, Story Racing, and we're here to talk about the women's elite road race, yeah?
Yeah.
Where shall we start? Shall we start with the course?
Yeah.
Right, explain to me about the course, because it's slightly different from the men's.
Okay, so they start in Bradford, and then...
Sorry, you mean Bradford.
Bradford?
Bradford.
What's Bradford?
We're in Yorkshire, aren't we?
Okay.
Bradford.
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 Then we go... Yeah, then north?
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah, okay, we go north. And then the only major climb is Loft House, which is short. Can it split it? I think if it presses on over that, it'll split, but then it would come back because it's a flat running. So I don't think it's hard enough to make people suffer, but it could cause a little bit of like disruption in the middle. But then I think you've got laps, so it'll come back.
But do you think if if we get a select group of 5, 6, let's say 10 riders who are all capable of winning and they are the favourites to win, that's going to be it, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be the selection, and then that's going to be that done, and then they're all going to be racing for themselves. But will they want to put themselves in that? Is there any riders that will want to put themselves in that position right then? Because we're about halfway through the race, just before halfway through the race. Like, is there going to be riders that are going to suit that kind of running where they've still got the majority of the race to go in a small group, or do you think everybody wants it to come down to the laps and then try and rip it apart on the laps?
It's a tricky one because I think people like Lizzie, we're a bit unsure about her form, aren't we? Like, she's obviously wanting to come and win it, and she's going to be the favourite, one of the favourites. But I don't know if that course is necessarily harder for her, and she's got a good sprint on her when she's got form, and also she can really sort of like get over Loft House and press on and hurt everyone else. So whether she'll want it to be a break or a sprint, I think she's got both. So it'll be tricky to work out. Everyone seems to have a good sprint and a good punchy climb. Like, it's not a long enough climb to sap you for the sprint.
Yeah.
So I think it could go either way.
At 149 kilometres, is that, like, you look at the men's race, it's nearly 300 kilometres. That is ridiculously long, even for men. Do you look at that 149 kilometres for women and think the same, or do you think that everyone who should be able to get through that will get through that? Or do you think that the length of it is going to fatigue a lot of riders and they're just not used to riding that long?
I think it's long, but it's not too long.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's short enough that they'll race it. They can race that hard. I don't think anyone looks at that length and thinks, oh, they're going to suffer for a long time. Like, it's really hard. I think it's a good length because they'll be able to attack. It's not like, oh, we'll leave it till halfway or we'll leave it to the laps because we've got such a long day to get through. It's like I think they'll race 149k. Like, it'll be aggressive from the start,
rather than the men's, which will be very sedate while the breakaway goes and then racing starts. Do you think the men's should take a similar route in the fact that we've seen a lot of shorter women's races which have been way more exciting than the longer men's races? Do you think they should do that with the Worlds, shorten that men's race to make it more aggressive, or extend the women's to try and filter out a few of those riders who potentially would be there on a shorter course, but because of the sheer volume of miles that they put in the legs wouldn't be there? What do you think would be the best option? Shorter race with like everybody attacking and everyone in the mix at the end, or whittle it down to 5 riders right at the end with a massive long stage?
I think from like a spectator's point of view, it's better to have like more aggressive racing, isn't it? Where like you stood at the side of the road and there's attacks going or there's a break or something, like you're always on it. If you go out and stand at the side of the road and it's just the group come through, if you stand at the first half of the race, then it's a bit kind of rubbish. But everyone sometimes thinks, oh, women, we want the longer stages. But then do you want the longer stages? Don't you want to race it like harder and faster and more aggressive and have more fun? And okay, yeah, it's over quicker, but the riders will be like hitting each other. So it's not just like, oh, it'll just be who can survive the shortest race wins. It's not, because I think we're switched on enough that the girls will think we can race this hard and batter each other and go for it. So I personally think shorter.
And you end up having a more, like you say, a more aggressive. Yeah. All right, let's get away from the course and let's talk about riders. Before we talk about individuals, what countries are we looking at here? Which countries are bringing the strongest teams here?
I like to say the Dutch
Always
have, you've got Anna van der Breggen in there. Like she's going to be a favourite, I think. So I personally would say they're, in terms of like GB's biggest rival, I'd say they're going to, because Lizzie races those girls as well, at like World Tour level. Okay, we've got a few under 23s like Anna Henderson and stuff that maybe have only done a select few races at World Tour. But the likes of Lizzie and Anna and stuff, they know what. So I think personally, they're going to be watching each other. So I think the two teams that will be rivaling at the finish, they'll be covering moves.
What about the Aussies? I think the Aussies always go well in the World Championships. Are they bringing a strong squad? Or have you not even looked at the squad and you don't know who they're bringing?
I don't know who the Aussie squad is.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Let's take a look now. So we've got Jessica Allen, Brodie Chapman, Tiffany Cromwell, Chloe Hoskin, Lucy Kennedy, Laura in the Kitchen, and Amanda Spratt. So the Aussies are bringing Chloe Hoskin, who just won Madrid Challenge. She won the bunch sprint. She finished second overall in the 2 stages of it. So the Aussies always come in with some good form, some good players. Is there anyone else within that Aussie team that you think is capable of winning? What about Amanda Spratt?
Yeah, Amanda Spratt's shown herself a couple of times this year in like breakaways and stuff, and she's been really close to the line, and she's like a gutsy rider, and I think she does put everything on the line. If she finds herself out there with a gap, she'll just go for it regardless the result or whatever. In terms of who they'll be like working for, I think they've got different cards to play. Like if it's a sprint, they'll go for Chloe.
Yeah. So they're not going out. They haven't
kick.
got one. They're not just putting all their eggs in one basket. They're going to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think they will be. I mean, it depends the form that they're sort of going into it with. But I guess everybody goes into the World Champs with form.
Should do.
Should do. So yeah, I think they've definitely got a couple of cards to play.
Yeah, it's going to be the Dutch,
look how
innit?
many cards they've got to play. Chantal Black, Lucinda Brand, Amy Peters, Anna van der... Their whole team are winners.
Out of the Dutch, who would you say is the best sprinter out of all those then? If it came down to a sprint.
I'd like to personally say Voss, just because she's shown herself come into some form recently.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that she's getting herself back up there. Anna van der Breggen, I think she'll be going for an attack. She'll be wanting something to stick. Amy Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she'd give a sprint a good go.
One of the riders not on the list is Lorena Vibis, who took 2 sprint victories at the Bowls Women's Tour, and I think she was bitterly disappointed not to actually get selected. But it's all got to come down. For her to win, a lot of things have got to happen, and you rarely see that on a World Championship race, i.e. it's all got to come back to a bunch sprint, and that the likelihood of that happening at a World's race is... like you normally see a lead out, you'll see a lead out train. You're not going to get a lead out train. You're going to have to jump between wheels. You're not going to get 3 or 4 teammates lining out with a K to go, setting you up for a sprint here. It's going to be every woman for themselves at the end, isn't it?
Yeah. I think she as well, like, she's young. Like, she's had some results. Okay, so we all expect her to be there. But in terms of her development and her progression, I don't think she needs to panic that much. She's got time to come back and improve. Like, use this not as like a setback and be like, oh, I've not been chosen or whatever. Use it as I'm gonna be at the next one. She's coming into a good form. She had a good show at Ride London as well. So I think she's a very punchy rider, and she'll definitely be a name for the future. Yeah.
Let's talk GB. A little bit of pressure on Lizzie, eh?
Yeah.
Wait, I've not even moved the microphone yet.
Sorry.
Eh?
Yeah, I think she will put a lot of pressure on herself because she's announced that she's retiring at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
It's a home champs for her, so she'll be really gunning for the win.
Literally home. She must pass her house on the way around, surely.
Which is a good thing. She knows the route, and she's, that's where she grew up, sort of training and stuff. But I think she'll put pressure on herself, and I think obviously the media and all of us are like, oh, we want Lizzie to win. But looking as an outsider, I think she does quite well on pressure.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure on her for, I know, Richmond, when she won there, and it was close, that sprint, and she just pulled it out the bag. A lot of people sort of crumble under that, and she fights back, you know, and says, I'm going to do it, and does it, and delivers. So whether that pressure will massively affect her, I don't know. But I think she's got the pressure of, like, she obviously had the baby, and whether but she's been sitting out. Well, she's not sat out a lot of races, but I know she announced that she was ill and didn't ride GP Plouay recently. But was she ill?
Or are you saying this is a exclusive conspiracy right here on the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show? You know we love conspiracies. So you're saying she avoided it because she didn't want to show a hand?
No, I kind of think maybe if she was a little bit ill, she's really looking after herself.
Right, okay,
like that's her showing to us that, like, she's not, you know, if you're a little bit ill, you're like, oh, well, do it just to train through it. Yeah, but I think because she's got a lot riding on these champs, she has been saving herself, not on purpose, but in terms of her being ill, she didn't want to fatigue herself anymore. So that shows us that she's really going to go for it.
Do you think she can win?
Yeah.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah. I think it's going to be hard. She's going to have a lot of work to do.
Well, if it was easy, we'd all be there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not easy. That's why we're sat here talking about it.
Yeah.
Monica Dew, over and out.
What do I say? Peace.
All right, guys, there you go. That is our alternate preview of the World Road Race Championships coming this weekend. Please, please, please hit that like button if you've enjoyed it. If you've made it all the way to the end here, thank you so much. It was a long video, took a long time to make. And can we just take 1 second to appreciate this thumbnail? I don't know why I did it, but rather than have the standard faces of these riders, that's Sagan, and Valverde, I decided to put who we think potentially might be in the jersey come Saturday and Sunday. And that right there, people, is Lizzie Dignam with a beard. So, yeah, that right there should be enough of a reason to hit that like button. It took me hours to do that. I'm useless at Photoshop, hence why the thumbnail is so bad. Anyway, leave your predictions as to who you think is going to be taking home those rainbow jerseys, both men and women. Just do that. And until tomorrow, hish.